Is back at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. There's dirt racing Friday night, a doubleheader on Saturday. Sunday, the NASCAR Cup Series stars return for the Ambetter 301. There's camping, nighttime concerts, trackside live, and fan zone action you just can't miss. It's a wicked fast, wicked fun weekend for the whole family. Your one chance to see NASCAR in New England, July 15th through 17th. Get your tickets today at nhms.com.
Rolled up green from Craig Weigel. This has changed the complexity of this Irving Oil 150. Rogers back to the racetrack. Field working down through 3 and 4. Here they come. 4 to go in the Irving Oil 150 green flag. Top 2, side by side. Slonwhite trying to take it away from Tucker. Tucker working hard on the inside. 3 to go. Tucker trying to dig. Darren McKinnon to 3rd. John Rankin, Matt Vaughn, top 5. Does Ashton have anything left? They come to the sticks. 2 laps to go for Craig Slonwhite. Slonwhite leads. Tucker digging deep on the inside. Darren McKinnon gets a shot from John Rankin, but up in front, Craig Slonwhite, Ashton Tucker, side by side at the white. Oh, that was close at the line. This is going to be a photo finish. Down the back straightaway, Tucker gets the advantage. Ashton Tucker to the inside, Slonwhite to the outside. Door to door, checkered flag. Oh! If you were watching on Tim's Corner TV, you saw the replay. highly unofficial because they will measure the spot for the transponders. And I stress this, your unofficial winner is Ashton Tucker. Highly, highly unofficial. They will have to measure transponders.
No. There we go. Hi, welcome to Paul, by the way, that wasn't frozen. We were still listening to audio.
Oh, look.
So
I cut it 2 seconds short.
That's fine. Anyways, that was
my bad.
You thought you broke it. That was the finish on the weekend of Ashton Tucker and Craig Slonwhite at the Irving Oil 150. Fantastic finish. Dylan, I know you watched it from home. Before we go forward, what did you think of that finish?
I loved it. I didn't like to see what made that finish, the big wreck. Don't like to see any guys have a hard lick. Glad to hear that Gary and Greg are getting on the men there, and their cars are going to get on the men for the 250. But, that's set up for a classic Saturday evening shootout, and you've got two of the best in pro stock racing, the champ and the man who dominated 2020 in pro stock racing with Craig Slonwhite and Ashton Tucker. Craig dominated 2021. So you had the best of the best the past couple of years. And I couldn't tell who won with you and Dan on the call. I was on the edge of my seat watching that at my parents' place, taking a break, fixing the camper. And it was a fantastic finish. Congrats to Ashton Tucker. Congrats to Craig for just keeping up the consistency this year. Sans the Riverside stuff. I mean, what's his worst finish? Like average, like second, third? Like he's doing very well this year.
Yeah, absolutely. And we technically could count the Riverside race, the RJ Poirier race, but technically we'll call it the last three races, but it could be calculated as four. The winner has been decided on a pass with less than 2 laps to go in the feature. So that is saying something. I know everybody's been talking about car count on the tour and car count on the series and everything else. The racing has been phenomenal on the East Coast International Pro Stock Tour, and I'm biased. I am, but it's not just that. It's been great racing. By the way, welcome into Tim's Corner Live, episode 68. Tim Terry, Dylan Langell, Paul Strickland. What are you drinking?
Busch Latte, the farmers only cans.
Farmers only. Excellent.
It's actually John Deere, but
whatever. Yeah, same thing.
Potato tomato.
Yep, and Brandon Campbell's in the background somewhere, I think.
Yeah, I'm back here.
Yeah, there he is. So the gang's all back together. Good to have everybody with us. We'll have Tom Stewart coming up later on in the show. He did some dirt racing and did fairly well in his dirt racing on the weekend. So we'll chat with the driver of the 71 in the second half of the show. John Rankin's coming up momentarily. But boys, busy stretch coming into this weekend. It's a massive weekend coming up at Scotia Speed World. We're going to have the York 100 on Saturday for the Auto World Maritime All-Star Sportsman Series. Friday is the Car Star Weekly Racing Series. Racing in 5 divisions, going to be a great night of racing. We're coming off a weekend that had, Oyster Bed with $1,000 to win street stock race with Mike Dusky picking up the win. Obviously, we raced at Petty Raceway. The Gunslinger picked up by BJ Gillespie. Valley Raceway, we're going to talk a little bit later on with Tom Stewart. We got some big news coming up this week. Sydney dropped a bomb today that they're announcing something on Friday at 3:00, and forever I had my phone lit up. What are they discussing and what are they announcing? And I said, there's a bunch of things that are on the table. I just don't know what piece of the pie that's on the table that they're going to actually throw out to us.
Tim.
Yep.
The news is that I'm going to drive Linden Sportsman for the rest of the year.
You might need to fight Jerome Kehoe for that, and I wouldn't want to fight Jerome Kehoe.
Nope, that's the news. You guys, thanks for coming, and that's the big news.
And that's it. Good night. Yeah. So
Early night. All right.
OBS this week's got $4,000 in the purse for their Outlaws, their Honda Outlaws. There's a lot going. Speedway 660, best of the best pro stock 150. We're racing at Scotia Speed World. Lake Dowsett is racing this weekend, and then the IWK 250 happens. So, Paul, before we get to John Rankin, I want to talk entry list. So first, let's look at the York 100 entry list for the weekend. Now, actually, no, let's not do that. Let's go back there. We'll talk about this one later. Let's talk about best of the best 150. Let's talk pro stock stuff first. That was a great entry list, by the way. But let's talk best of the best 150. BO. Is it on the list there? It was the last one that I just put up, so you might need to go grab it. So put up IWK 250 if you have it.
I don't have either.
Wow, you are slacking tonight.
Hey, listen, somebody was late to upload them. We got to get a new secretary. I don't even.
You're
Corner
fired.
Motorsports has a great
You're
secretary.
fired. What are we doing first? IWK
Corner,
250.
corner, yeah. Let's do that one.
Corner
Yeah,
mode.
bring that one up, and then we'll get the best of the best
There we
150
go.
here in a
First
bit.
try.
So this was released today, Dylan. This is big, 27 cars. What do you think?
I like it. You know, we've got our familiar dudes who we've been having on the tour almost the entire year. You're getting guys like Big Orange, Ryan Messer, John Rankin, who we're going to talk to here in a couple of minutes. Going to be doing the 250 coming up. Wyatt Alexander making the haul. Going to be driving for Lam Garnier Motorsports. It's just a solid list. You add in the former 250 winners like a John Fleming in the mix. There, Wayne Smith, the Oval Outlaw, is going to be back tour racing coming up next weekend. Oh, and by the way, we've got a NASCAR truck champion and Mike Skinner in the mix driving the number 22 Cat Car for Kids car this year.
I see Waylon Farrell's back on the entry list, a second Reed car. It's got that tour flavor in there. Dwayne Baker is on the list, a NASCAR Pinty Series guy that's been to Riverside before with that series. Obviously, the Butchers, Blankhorn. You look down the list that of these drivers that have been here before. It's got that tour race feel, but it's got that little bit of extra incentive in there. I was told Wayne Smith might have a different car than what we're used to seeing him drive. I can't say anything else, but I'm told there might be another car in the works there. So $15,000 to win, which is one of the biggest purses to win. We've had a couple of 250s in Fredericton that paid $15,000, $100,000 ish, I think, on the weekend. So it's a big paying race. 20 cars in Legends, 27 or 29 or something like that in Sportsman. That stuff's at riversidespeedway.ca. I spent my day working at Scotia Speed World, so I was lucky to get this on the screen tonight. Let's look at the best of the best Pro Stock 150, because this isn't released yet, but this is going to be coming up tomorrow on the Speedway 660 page. I see Tom Stewart is connected, by the way. I'm not going to actually, what we can do is let's do this. I know Tom Stewart's been having some issues, so we're going to try to get him in here, and we'll do this while this is on the screen. Brandon, you see this entry list. There's a lot of New Brunswick flavor in here. What do you think?
Yeah, a lot of New Brunswick guys, but one of the ones to watch this year actually isn't even from the country. Wyatt Alexander's been good at Gary.
He's not even from the country.
Yeah, well, he's from, it's Maine, right? Near Drew Greenlaw area.
Well, no, he's from Ellsworth, which is, I think, a little further down the state. I don't know a whole lot of Maine geography. But yes, Wyatt Alexander, I think, is the most recent winner up there in Pro Stock. Correct me if I'm wrong. It might be so, something like that. Well, if he's not, he is now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so you got Ryan Messer, Steve Halpin, Lonnie, you got Dave Oblinas, you've got Dustin Tucker, Clark Moore. Good to see him on the entry list. Ian Rasmussen after coming off our race in PEI. Kevin Moore, this is a Kevin Moore type race, 150 laps. Chris Duncan, it's a strong little list of drivers that'll be at that race coming up on Saturday, presented by the Waterfront Pub, Christmas in July as well. So all kinds of great things going on there when it comes to that one. But that'll be coming up on Saturday. Obviously, IWK 250 is a week from Saturday, and then we're busy with the Mass Series. We're going to talk Mass at the end of the show because it's so massive that I think it deserves its own segment. Right, Dylan?
It's going to be massive.
Massive.
You're forgetting one.
What am I forgetting?
I think Shediac's opening their stock car racing this weekend too.
Well, we're going to talk Lake Dowsett too. Lake Dowsett's racing.
I did their commercial today.
Did you? Awesome. It's the
Blair Penny Larry Gavel Memorial Race.
Yeah, Larry Gable.
Gable. Ah, sorry.
Did you screw up the promo?
Maybe. I meant to do it.
$1 in the jar.
Yeah.
But there you go. So that's going to be big on Sunday. The Maritime Street Stock Series, as you mentioned, Brandon, is back at Shediac, their first technical race of the season. So that's enough talking. Let's get to some of our guests here this evening, and we'll start with this one here. Paul, you can roll his intro. It's the driver of the number 9 on the Pro Stock circuit. We saw him last week at the East Coast International Pro Stock Tour, Irving Oil 150, and we'll see him coming up once again at the IWK 250 coming up in a week and a half or so. We'll do this. I'll get Paul's mug off the screen. There we go. Driver of the number 9, John Rankin. John, good to chat with you tonight.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me.
So let's start. We're watching the highlights. You and Jared Butcher going back and forth. Let's talk about that battle because we spent a lot of this race on this battle because it was exciting. Talk about battling with the 54 on your way to the front of the field.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Haven't raced with those guys very much, and I know they've got a good piece under them, and we were just kind of picking our way along, and we ended up getting together, and we were there for quite a while, couldn't get away from each other. So it was a lot of fun racing, good, clean racing, and a lot of fun.
We are live and interactive with John Rankin. Be sure to drop us a question or a comment below. Chris Ewing just broke the news. Dylan, do you want to read that?
Just spoke to Big George. It's okay to let people know Wayne bought a car from Port City in Nova Racing.
So there was a Port City car for sale from Nova.
Yeah.
And what I was told from Kelly earlier, that it's still in the shop. They're still trying to get it all ready and whatever else. But that's the car that Wayne is allegedly getting ready for the 250.
That's big.
So I've known that for a couple of days. But that is now they've still got a week and a half to get it done. But that's there. So if it doesn't get done, I guess Wayne goes to the backup car, which is what Michael Cormier drove on the weekend.
Can I mention Chris Ewing that he's down in New Hampshire getting ready for the Ambetter 301 weekend?
Yes.
He's making me jealous with all the food posts he's making today.
Yeah.
He said he's thinking of me. He says, I'm going to have some bourbon chicken just for me. So I appreciate it.
Yeah. To go with the salad that he had earlier today. When
What's
you
wrong
go
with
on
salad?
vacation, you don't have salad. You don't make friends with salad.
He may this
That's an accurate
weekend.
assessment.
You don't know what things are
Absolutely
going
it
to be
is.
like this weekend.
I'm sure. But it's good to see Chris and everybody down there going to the Ambetter 301. Brandon, I think your parents are going down, aren't they?
Yeah, I have no idea what day they're leaving, but
They're not gone yet.
well, they're still in the room, so I guess they're here for now. It might be a tomorrow night, might be a Friday morning. I don't really know.
Yeah, we'll
Chris says it's fast. The car. Not the salad. He says the car's fast.
Okay. The salad's probably fast too. John, speaking of fast, you kind of told me before we went racing on Saturday that you really didn't know what the car had. Kind of limited practice, threw it at it, but at the end of the race, that thing came to life. What was the spark over 150 laps?
I'm not really sure what happened. We kind of showed up last minute, and I didn't even have 4 shocks when we got to the racetrack. We had to kind of hunt around and find another one, and I guess if Wayne's going back racing, I better get in touch with him because left front shock was off his car. So better find out what's going on there, see if he needs it. We started out as per normal with me. We're never stunningly fast in practice. We just have a consistent car, and we got in the heat race, started outside pole and had a right front flat, slowly creeping down. So we went to the back and finished there, and as the race wore on, the car just kept getting better and better. And I'm not sure at my age how I kept up, but I'm not getting any younger for sure. And that's the first long race we've done in a while. So,
well, there's still some that are, I think, twice your age on the racetrack, right? So this old thing, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I sure felt it. That's for sure.
So we keep going in the race. We saw that battle with Jared, and you're working forward. We have that incident with 5 laps to go that puts you closer to the top 5 into the podium. You were in the top 5 battling there with Darren before that incident happened. But what was going through your mind when you saw that on the racetrack and you end up with a shot at a podium with 5 laps to go?
Yeah, I was telling the guys on the radio, you don't really think about where you are. There's lap cars involved, and there's all kinds of different things going on. And all of a sudden the caution come out and we're sitting in 3rd place. And I was like, I think I got a little too excited maybe. And we had kind of raced with Darren a bit and managed to get away from him earlier. And I knew we had a decent shot at it, but on the restart, just made a rookie mistake, I guess, and spun the tires really bad. And he got down in front of us and did the job that he was supposed to, and I couldn't get back by him. So
you gave it a go though.
Yeah. I drove it in a little too hard there once and got in the back of him and got him sideways, and he luckily collected it, and that's not how I wanted to do it anyways. And I was hoping I'd get another shot or two, but we didn't get it. But he did a great job, and we had a chat after about how much fun it was, and we raced side by side for quite a while throughout the race as well. And good, clean driver and a lot of fun.
with the rules being different on the series, we'll go back to the international. You broke a shock mount, I think it was, you told me.
Yeah, shock bolt. Yeah.
So you break that. The shock rules are a little different from what we have on those open races to the tour races. So how much of a difference was it to go from we'll call it a New Brunswick rules package to the East Coast International Pro Stock Tour?
Yeah, it wasn't excessive change. I mean, we kind of went back with our same spring package and stuff. We had to switch bump stops as well because we run on steel bump usually. So we had to switch that.
Tim, you're gonna have to leave again.
The blue shock. It's a little bit of a different handle, but and that's really the first race I've ever done on them. But I liked it. It was really good, and like I said, the more laps we get in, the better I felt, and the more comfortable I felt.
So moving forward now, you're on the entry list for the IWK 250. So what are you looking forward to here in these next couple of weeks to prepare for that race?
Well, that race has been on my list since I think it was 2016 when Brad Siliger took us down there, and we had what we thought was a really good car. I think laps in. So that's always been on my list that I wanted to go back and give it one more shot. I figured this year's gas is a little expensive to make that trip, but my son's getting heavy into sports and things aren't getting any easier financially or time-wise. So I figured this was the year to do it. And we're going to, we got a lot of preparation to do this week and next week, but we're going to get down and give it a try. 27
cars on the entry list. They usually ebb and flow. There's a couple I think that may end up being on that entry list before we're done. So let's round it up and say potentially 30 cars going into that race. Obviously, qualifying is going to be a premium, but it doesn't look like we're sending cars home this year. So what's the mindset going into that race, knowing that you're in the show? It's just a matter of where you start, and how do you prepare for 250 laps?
Yeah, I'll be doing some a little bit of workout, I think, for starters, and get my cool suit set up. I should have done that last week apparently, but anyways, yeah, I mean, we got a lot of little maintenance to do the car, you know, the clutches and the brakes and all that stuff. You have to make sure it's all ready to go. And as far as the racing goes, I look at basically every race the same. I'm kind of a slow starter, if you will, and those races usually work in my favor, I guess. Just kind of be patient, stay out of trouble, and luckily, hopefully, we'll be in the show. Hopefully, there'll be enough cars there to make a field, and hopefully not send anyone home. And that's a really long ways to go for us and for a lot of guys to go down there and not make the race. But we'll go down and probably heat race if we're fast enough and have a good starting spot. We'll try to get away, and if not, we'll ride in the pack and try to keep it in one piece for the race.
Now, you mentioned a cool box. Brandon, what did you learn in PEI about cool boxes?
I learned that they can fly, and then when they hit the ground, they break and leak.
For anybody that saw the race in PEI, Gary Elliott didn't have his cool box completely into the car, and it ended up in the campground. Actually, it ended up in the trees before it went to the campground. So just make sure, John, that the cool box is strapped in and ready.
You might need it
more.
Looking, obviously, that you've done these 250 lap races before. You talked about pacing yourself and getting there to the end. We've seen some wild 250s at Riverside. I think back to the year that Kent Vincent, DJ Casey, and those guys were battling, because we really didn't have them on our sheet of paper before the last 10 laps. So what do you have to do to put yourself in a position to win the 250 in a week and a half?
Well, that's obviously going to be a huge task. Looking at the list, there's a lot of huge names there, and I don't feel like I have a whole lot of business being there, but we're going to do it anyway. And the way I look at it, every race I go to, we're never the fastest car. I've never, even in my sportsman days, I was never generally the fastest car in practice and all that. And I don't even pay attention to the practice sheets. I just make sure that our car is comfortable and drivable, and it's got moderate speed, but that I can drive it. And usually I can drive it that way the whole race. And I think that's sort of where we'll be heading, is trying to plan for that, I guess. And same as last weekend, like we didn't have a great car in practice. We weren't overly quick. We were just a mid-pack car at best. But I feel like when I set the car up that way and feel that way in a car, we can do that the whole race. And I think that's what happened. I think more or less, some people slowed down and we just stayed the same.
And it made for a great charge throughout the field for that Irving Oil 150. We're going to get to social media in a second, so be sure to drop a question or comment down there, and we'll get Dylan and Brandon on the case. But you mentioned those Sportsman Days. For those that might be tuning in that are trying to get the preview of the 250 or trying to get a backstory, how did you get your start in all this? Because I know your family has a rich history in this sport.
Yeah, for sure. So my father raced for, I think, 28 or 30 years, 70s, 80s, 90s. And he ended off in NASCAR. He ran the last, I think, 5 or 6 years in NASCAR Tour, and had some pretty good success back in the day. And he kind of had some back issues and surgeries and had to give it up. And then my cousin Calvin kind of took it over. We went with him for a while, and then I kind of got the bug myself and kind of took over from there. And we raced, started out with enduro, street stock, sportsman, moved into sportsman, and won a couple of championships. Never really ran other than 2 years, I guess, full time. A lot of part time racing, and we got to ride with Brad Siliker in 2015 and 2016, and that kind of got my feet wet in pro stock, and had some good runs in that car, and a lot of fun with those guys. And then I kind of got out of it again for a little while, and then Chuck Mercer, sponsor of mine from AJW Mechanical, decided that we need to get a pro stock car and go pro stock racing again. So anyway, I don't know if it was a good idea or not, but here we are.
You've done a lot. Obviously, street stock had a lot of success, but a lot of the sports and success too. You mentioned those championships. I know you won some Atlantic championships at Shediac, had some success there. What are the biggest takeaways, championship wise, race win wise, from those sports and maybe those street stock days before you hit the ground running in pro stock?
Well, you would think that your nerves would get a little better having some experience and having done this a million times, but somehow for me, it doesn't work that way. I still get pretty sick, usually throwing up before every race. And that's kind of a running joke amongst us, but we've learned a lot about the cars, pro stock being a little bit different. So it's a little bit of a new game to learn, but I learned, I guess for me, it was what I need to feel in a car. We jumped in cars and that other people had that were really good, and I just never was comfortable. So I kind of have a different feel that I need compared to a lot of guys. And so just me communicating back to the crew what I need for a good car, I guess.
Dylan, not the first one that we've had on the show that has had those kind of uneasy stomach issues. Dylan Blenkhorn, I think, was the first one. I know John Fleming used to get it all the time too. So John's not the only one. Dylan, what do you have for the driver, the number 9?
Well, John, congrats on the good run back on Saturday. So when are you getting a sponsorship from like Gaviscon or Tums or something?
Yeah, we usually have a box of that in the pit bag there for me. So.
Do you have a Domino's racing jacket yet? Because if not, I can sell you one. I've got an old David Rudiman one.
Oh, is that right? Well, that's a good idea. You might use that for the 250.
I'll wear it to the 250 if it's not like 35 degrees like it was today in Nova Scotia.
Sounds good.
We got a couple of questions on Facebook. I don't want to take Brandon's job. I'm going to pick one, though. Richard Atkinson's watching, sportsman racer at 660. He's wondering if you're going to be racing at 660 this weekend. You are, correct?
Unfortunately, we're not racing this weekend. Just with so much prep going into the IWK, and also Chris Duncan is a good friend of mine. He came up with us to Petty this weekend and helped us out, crewed with me and helped us out with a lot of changes on the car. And so I told him he owes me one. I owe him one back. So we're going with him this weekend and give him a hand and see how we can make out.
So what's your duty then? What's your title helping him out?
Just a labor. I'm a gopher. I'll do whatever needs done.
So what goes into getting a car ready for a 250, whether it's a Fredericton 250 or in this case, the IWK 250? What extra prep goes into the car, crew, everything?
Yeah, so we're gonna have the crew kind of get together a few times this week and next week and just iron out plans and job titles and what everybody's expected of. And as far as the car goes, I mean, it's a full redo. You know, you want to check all your brakes. We'll get massive cylinders we're putting on. We're gonna, you know, go through the wheel bearings and just basically check over everything. We'll pull out the clutch, and I just don't want to drive all that way and have something minor mechanical put us out. Would be pretty disappointing. So try to do our due diligence and take the best car we can down.
Will the temperature and weather, besides the R word, but let's say it's scorching hot, or maybe it's a cool night, does that go into planning out things as well?
Yeah, a little bit, definitely for the adjustments on the car for sure. I think the last time that I was down was 2016, and that was like race day was 38 degrees or something. Like, it was the hottest day I've ever raced in, and it was a bit ridiculous. It was a huge job just to stay hydrated and prepared for the race. You know, it was pretty overwhelming.
And that's something we hear with NASCAR all the time, where they just were racing in Nashville and it was stupid hot. How much water, fluid, or whatever do you think you go through in a race on a hot steaming day like that?
Well, in the car, I've got I think a 4-liter pouch of water that I would drink pretty well the whole thing in the race. But leading up to that, I mean, you're taking 2 and 3 days of water and Gatorade and whatever you can put into you, just to try to keep the fluids going and keep hydrated. And because there's nothing worse than getting in there and getting cramps and you know, your legs seizing up and all that. So there's a lot of bananas and a lot of water being put through days leading up to it.
See, I've almost grabbed on Tim at Scotia Speed World cramping because I'm 6'4" and that booth isn't very big. So Tim knows about me almost screaming in the mic, trying to not cramp up big time. But going back to the Irving Oil 150, how good did it feel to know, okay, I can run with some of these guys like a Jared Butcher. I can hang in. I know at 250s, extra 100 laps, but, you know, we got something here in a couple of weeks. That must have felt pretty good, eh?
Yeah, it was a big boost for us. You know, for myself and all the guys. Just, you know, we haven't raced full time for quite a while, and it's really hard to get in a routine, go to the racetrack, race, and then be off for 3 weeks or 4 weeks and go back and try it again. And it's hard for them. It's hard for me. But that was really, people say, oh, it was just the 4th place finish, but it literally was a win for us. We were a very, very small, you know, I would call an extremely low budget team. And yeah, it was huge just knowing that you're racing against that type of equipment. And, you know, some guys had some trouble that probably would have been up there as well. But, you know, like the Robbie McEwens and obviously Greg.
He was saying Greg Proud.
Yeah.
Just looking through our comments again, I'm gonna throw to Brandon here in just a moment with some social media questions. But one question is, what's the car count for the 250? 27 are on the list.
Yeah, I just put the link down there for Ryan. Paul, do you want to hop that back up on the screen momentarily if you can? The IWK 250 entry list. There you go. It's up on the screen. Go ahead, Dylan.
I was just going to say, John, you know, do you as a driver prefer the bigger entry lists? You know, we're pushing almost 30, or do you like seeing like a 660 where sometimes around that 15 mark, more cars better, worse? What's your opinion? Obviously more cars is awesome, but as a driver.
Yeah, it's a lot more fun to have more cars to race with for sure. But an instance like this where it's, you know, a 5-hour drive and hotels and all kinds of expenses, it's I would like to see it stay around 20 or 25 just to be sure that we get in. But no, it adds more excitement. You know, the more cars you're racing with, more. Consider that our Daytona 500 or whatever, if you will. Yeah, just it's nice to see the big car counts for sure.
Tim, do you know if there's a hard cutoff for the field for the 250?
No, because I remember Cy Harvey showing up one Thursday night practice and he wasn't on the entry list. He stopped at Scotia and told the boys to put 4 tires in the trailer. So the answer is no. And I mean, I look at this entry list. I haven't talked to Marty. I wouldn't be surprised to see Marty Prevost on that entry list before we're all said and done here. I know Darren McKinnon said he wasn't coming. I know Chris Hughes said he wasn't coming. But I wouldn't be surprised to see, 1 or 2 just kind of show up out of nowhere. But I think that entry list is pretty solid as it is. The other thing is too, they're talking about this 15,000 to win, John, and that's nice. The John W. Chisholm Memorial Cup, that's great. 1,600 to start at the bottom for a team like yours. How important is that to almost cover the tire bill for 8 tires for this race?
That was a huge part of our decision. Traveling that far and all that stuff is obviously a huge expense. But when you look at that and say, I can pretty well pay for my tires right off the bat. The other stuff is, you can get sponsors and you can kind of work a little extra. Obviously, I work a fair bit overtime. I can put some money away and make it happen. So that having that at the bottom, I mean, I always hear these races that, they're 10,000 to win or whatever the amount is to win. But for us, we don't bank on obviously going to win every race. So we've got to look at finances and crunch numbers, and every dollar counts for us. So it's, seeing that number is pretty nice.
And I think that's the biggest thing there is, there we go. I think that's the biggest thing too. Like when we look at the entry list and everything else, and I know there's a lot going on with the 250 in Halifax right now of them trying to do the same thing. And I think that can be echoed throughout it. And even the big sports and races that are throughout the region, look at that bottom and try to grab those extra cars, because those guys are going to fill your field too. Sure, it's nice to win a race, but it's always nice to have that car count of 20, 25 at a race that you can fill the front straightaway with introductions and not make it look empty, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I've always said that for years, and it's usually the guy that wins the race, he's not that hard up for money. He's not struggling. He's not torn fenders off or whatever throughout the race. It's the guys that go there and really sacrifice, I guess, to get there. They need to help cover their costs to get there, and makes for more cars and better racing. And yeah, I've always said that there's those big numbers at the top of the charts are really, it makes for, I guess, good advertising in a way, but at the same time, the guys down at the bottom looking at, I can cover my tire bill or whatnot, is, to me, that's huge.
Absolutely. Brandon, are you still with us tonight?
Yeah, I'm wide awake.
Oh, well, there you go. Go be busy on social media. What do you got over there?
Well, Corey Little mentioned something about a new crew and an old crew. He said the old crew should be cut and you should keep the new crew. Is there some sort of story behind this?
Well, I think you cut out. What was that?
Oh, sorry. He said, Corey Little said something about how the new crew needs to stay and you should tell the old crew members they don't make the cut anymore.
Yeah, Corey's helped me for a few years, and he's a lot of fun. Really good guy to have around the pits. And this year, his girls are really heavy into softball, so he's pretty well running. And him and his wife and every weekend with the girls. So he's missed a lot of races, but hopefully we'll get him out of here out with us before the season's over.
Yeah, hopefully. And just to add to that, in this division specifically, you don't just show up with a car and yourself, and you'll have your chance to thank everyone after. But what kind of crew does it take to get to the track every week?
Yeah, it's crazy the amount of work that these cars are, and to try to keep them up and maintained. And you need 5-6 guys dedicated every week to go help you out. And luckily, I've got that. We've got a really good bunch, and so I'll name them at the end of this deal. And but yeah, it's huge. You can't. There's no way you can do this. Even the logistics of getting the trailer ready and the cooler stocked and the radios charged. It's a huge full week event really to get ready.
Yeah, Tim, we know all about setting up and tearing apart and everything, don't we?
Yeah, I did all that tonight for this weekend. Well, most of it. It's almost ready for this weekend.
It's a lot easier with a crew than by yourself, isn't it?
Absolutely, it is. It takes it doesn't matter if it's a race team or if it's doing what we do on 10 of the 12 Pro Stock Tour Saturdays to make this happen. It takes a crew. I mean, without Paul, without you, without Dylan, this thing doesn't happen on Wednesday nights. Do you got anything else on social media before I jump in here and clean up?
Yeah, Matt Marr, one of our cameramen, he wants like your autograph or a sticker or a hat or something. So do you got any of those floating around?
Hero card is what he said.
I think he'll take what he can get at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll get him hooked up.
Well, the backstory to that, and we had the B-roll of us going through on the autograph session. The picture that you have from the International is, I don't know who took the shot, but Matt is in the background on our wireless camera, and all you can see is the pink headset that he's got on, and it sticks out. And that's the first thing I saw when I saw the hero card. I was like, that's an EIT Race Radio pink headset in the background. It's got to be Matt Marr. So he'll have to get one of the IWK 250, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
What else do you have over there, Brandon? Gary
Elliott's watching.
Yep. He says half a comment. Lab money should be, and I'm a mind reader. We're gonna read Gary Elliott's mind here and say lap money should be dispersed throughout the field. Because I know that was a thought during the Riverglade International about me and Winona had discussed this during Speed Sport, where we might end up paying that $100 or that 75 or the 50 or 20, whatever it ends up being, to maybe 10th place on that lap or maybe somewhere in there. So I don't want to end the thought that Gary had, but there was only 4 words there. I think that's what it is. And I know the Ricky Bobby race, Brandon, you would know, 500 most laps, $50 for leading one, the rest split. Okay. So maybe I didn't read Gary's mind. But there's the Ricky Bobby has sort of that same deal, doesn't it, Brandon, where you have a couple of laps where they pay like $25 for 8th place on that lap sort of thing, right?
Yeah, and I think the Bomber Firecracker race in Miramichi did something like that too. Like it just helps bring more cars because, like John said earlier, he doesn't plan on winning every race. So yeah, it's cool that if you lead 250 laps, you get an extra $100 a lap or whatever it is. But for the guys that are, 10th to 25th that aren't going to lead many laps, it doesn't really give them an extra reason to come, I guess.
And I like where they boosted that bottom to kind of help that a little bit. But I think that's kind of the same way too. So we'll keep, it's one of those things that you kind of keep in the back of your mind as a race promoter, or maybe it comes up during the summit when we have it again in November. But by the way, shout out to St. Louis Bar and Grill. We had, I know Brandon didn't go, but we had a good time on Saturday night after the race. I don't know where Brandon was. He was, out in the campground. You started the Jeep or something, didn't you? Is that what you were doing?
No, me and Logan and Evan didn't get up to the Jeep. It was a long, hot day. Bed was on my mind.
I don't blame you. By the way, Ian Proctor is watching, John.
Good stuff. He just sent me a message too.
big TV star, right? You get all the messages at the same time.
Right.
We'll make last call on social media for John Rankin. So if you have a question or comment for John, be sure to drop it below, and we'll get to it. So you mentioned the budget and trying to put together a racing season. So obviously the 250 is going to be big, bucket list for a lot of people. When's the next one? What do you foresee the next one being for John Rankin?
We're going to try to make the August 6th Speedway 660 just a regular 50 lap night. We'll kind of use that probably as a test session for the 250. I'd like to do that one as well. I kind of miss racing up there, and just the way the schedule's worked out this year, we haven't gotten back there very much. We had one and it rained out, so it's been hard to make those ones, but a Shediac, I think Shediac, we're going to do Atlantic Championships again, and we'll see how this Riverside race goes. We might go back there in the fall as another quick run.
So obviously not in the seat this weekend. We already discussed that, but the best 150 crewing for Chris. But Is there anything you can learn from watching that race that you can apply to August 6th and potentially the 250?
Yeah, absolutely. Chris is a great guy to be around. He's very hands-on. I learn a lot from him. Just he explains adjustments very well, what he's thinking, and he's a big help that way. And with Lonnie, I'm obviously around Lonnie a lot. Obviously, a lot of knowledge there, and he gives us a lot of help. So just watching the cars, talking to them guys after the races, what adjustments were made, and Lonnie and I usually talk about each race after, same as we did Saturday night about our race, what adjustments were made to help, what made them worse. So really any experience that you get around those races helps, but especially with guys like that, Lonnie and Chris to lean on. I've done it a long time and have great success at it. For me, it's a big help.
He's back. Okay. We're supposed to say
He posted a TikTok.
Oh yeah. He had to go get the jacket.
I just thought saying, oh my gosh, wait, that jacket is like 5 feet away from me. So I don't know, John, if you're sponsored by Napa or Nextel, but
well, we better not have Napa on there. We got Sherfoot Automotive.
Well, then I guess I'll have to keep it then, I guess. I'm sorry.
Duct tape's a great thing. I'm sure we can find some blue tape somewhere.
And it's black. Just put black over it, it'll blend right in.
Oh, there you go. It's like blue, isn't it though, Dylan? It's like bluish black. Oh, is it? Okay. It's black. Yeah.
Bring it back
Right.
out again
Pull it back out.
Yeah, pull it back out.
Are you sponsored by Coca-Cola or Raybestos or Goodyear? You're gonna have to put Gorilla Tape over half of this.
There you go.
I'm sure you can get Raybestos parts at Sherfit, right?
Yes,
that's
right.
Is your number 9 a Toyota?
It is not. We can make it that. So.
Okay.
Jordan Vino's done weirder things at the front of the car, so you can turn that into a Toyota or whatever his was.
Yeah.
John, what else is on the bucket list? Is there any race that you haven't been to, or maybe there's something in the Sportsman that if you had a ride to hop back into to go race, what's left on the bucket list for John Rankin?
As far as racing in general, I would race every weekend. That doesn't matter if it's a street stock or anything at all. I love racing. Actually, street stock was probably some of my funnest days. Sportsman, same thing. I would love to continue to race as much as possible. As far as the pro stock goes, I think I would like to try the Scotia 250 at some point as well. It might not be this year just with the expenses, but maybe next year. And I've always, shooting for the moon here, but I've always said I would love to run a tour year, one full season with the tour. I love watching it. I love being part of it. I've been treated extremely well. The times that I have gone, this weekend was no different. Just really good crews, really good bunch of guys, excellent racing, like you've said earlier. So at some point I would like to do that, but my window's closing up pretty quick, and my son is very heavy into sports, like I said, and we're running continuously it was hockey, now it's baseball. So I don't know how much racing I've got left, but we're gonna give it all we have and see what happens.
So what you're saying is you need to get a couple of more of those sponsors to fill what's left of those panels to get some tour races in.
Yeah, that's it.
Looking forward, obviously IWK 250 is going to be big. For those that have never been to the 250, what's the biggest selling point that you can give a fan to get to the 250 in a week and a half?
Just the whole experience, man. That track is phenomenal. And I remember, we went down the Thursday night of that year that we went, and we got in the car and I went out on the track, and I was just in awe of the place. Like it's phenomenal. It's like being at a NASCAR track. The way it's run, how clean it is, everything, and the banking, and it's just so much fun, and the atmosphere is outstanding. The crowds are always huge. That was probably, standing on the front stretch on the autograph session for that race was probably one of the highlights of my racing career. Just seeing the people and knowing that, we were part of this deal, and Brad giving us the opportunity to do it was huge. And just, so it's the atmosphere, the racing is obviously really good, and the track's amazing. It really is.
And you get the opportunity to do it all again here in about a week and a half. You mentioned the Thursday practice. Are you going to be able to get down to that, or are we going to go in Saturday and get some laps in there?
Yeah, we're hoping to. The more laps I can get in, the better for sure. So we're gonna plan on going down on probably Thursday night and see if we can get the car somewhere close and then take some of the pressure off for Saturday. To be enough stress for me, I'm sure, on Saturday. So.
And you got the tailgate party and everything else. Dylan, are you going to go to the tailgate party this year?
Yes, sir.
Oh,
no,
wow.
No. No. I'm there. I even took Wednesday off radio work.
Wow. So are you go? See, here's the next thing. And for those that are watching, there's a Wednesday practice next week for Sportsman Legend Cars. So Dylan, are you going to that, or are we doing a show next week?
We could probably do a show next week.
Okay,
I don't plan on going up until Thursday morning. So.
Oh, okay. We'll figure that out as we go down the line. John, you mentioned the marketing partners on the race car, Chuck Mercer and the boys. Who else is on this race car that makes it happen to get you to the IWK 250?
Yeah, so first I'd like to thank the crew, I guess, for starters. Chuck Mercer, obviously, he's a co-owner in this car, and he was the whole driving force behind getting this car. Ron Lockery, Hillis Briggs, Colin McCumber, Dan Withers, Corey Little, obviously Lonnie and Chris Duncan that have helped us a lot. My dad, family, parents, always supportive. My wife, Amanda, and my son, Landon, who's 8 years old, and he can get in the pits at Petty. So he wants us to race at Petty every week so he can be a part of it. And last weekend, he got to steer the car onto the track for the autograph session. So he was pretty pumped about that. Sponsors, obviously AJW Mechanical is Chuck's a huge part of this deal and the main backer for me. Irving Blending and Packaging, we've had a really good relationship with them for years. They continue with us. Sherford Automotive this year, good friend of mine, Kevin Wilson, looks after us getting sponsorship from them, and they've been a huge help. It's nice. They're new this year, so really been a big help to us and supporting this deal. And also new for us this year, Domino's Pizza. And anybody that knows me knows that, you know, some people say your pizza is part of your diet. Well, pizza generally is my diet. That's pretty much what I eat daily. So it was a big joke that I had to get a pizza sponsor, and Domino's my favorite. So that's worked out very well. And Pete and his crew have been a big help. And yeah, really, really appreciate all the help from everybody. You know, people say you couldn't do it without sponsors, and there's no way that I could even go to one race this year without sponsors. It's a huge help. Just having that support, and you know, having the guys call you on Monday morning and congratulating you on a good run Saturday night, and just knowing that, you know, the guys from Surefitter at the race watching or whatever, and Chuck's part of our crew, he's there. Yeah, it's a huge help. Sponsors are a huge part of the sport. Everybody tries really hard to get them and keep them, and we're very appreciative of having them for sure.
Now, you mentioned Landon turning 8. Is you mentioned sports? Is there a Bandolero in the future?
I knew that was coming. It's funny. I don't know if I'm allowed to say this or not, but we parked beside Brad Silica on the weekend, and I believe a bando appeared at his house in the last couple of weeks, and his son's around helping with his car, and so there was some talk about that, and we actually went and looked at a bando a couple weeks ago. Landon's very timid, I guess, and we bought him a 4-wheeler a couple years ago, and he's very timid, and then he get on it, and he was going around the yard and on 2 wheels, and the second day. So I'm thinking that we get him in it, get him in one, and let him practice one. He'll be all set, and I'm guessing we'll probably head that way pretty soon. Hopefully he'll give me another year or two to get a little bit more racing in before I shut it down, because there'll be only one of us racing at a time, that's for sure.
You never say retire, by the way. That shouldn't be in the repertoire. But if he needs any sort of pointers, I'm sure Hudson Ruff will help him out.
There you go. Well,
and Tim, if John needs parent while kid racing, he can just message Dave Matthews. He's got it figured out.
Yeah, well, Dave,
he's done-ish, but
he's done-ish. And me and Drew McEachran had this conversation last night. Dave missed his first Thunder car race, I think, in 14 years that he was not suspended for. keywords, not suspended for, that on Friday night. So, but he's helping Bristol and getting everything in there. So he's enjoying the crew chief role as well. So, but he's still doing the mini stock thing. So it can be done, John. It can be done.
Yeah, let's hope so.
John, this has been fun. Looking forward to the IWK 250. Congratulations on the run on Saturday, and we'll catch up with you in a week and a half at the 250.
That's awesome, guys. I really appreciate having me, and thanks to all the fans for watching and being a part of this. And I appreciate you guys doing this and getting us out there and advertising our sport. Good job.
We're gonna eat some pizza on Thursday on the 250.
There you go. We'll bring some Domino's down. We'll see you.
Perfect.
There you go. You can trade the coat for some pizza. That works out. We are going to step away for a quick 30 seconds. We'll be right back with you here on Tim's Corner Live.
Presents the World Series of Monster Trucks. Coming to Halifax, Scotia Speed World for 3 mega shows. August 5th, 6th, and 7th. Witness big air jumps from world champion, bounty hunter, and more. Plus, don't miss Major League of Freestyle Motocross. Tickets as low as $20 and on sale now at scotiaspeedworld.ca or showpass.com. Lock your seats now. Brought to you by Action Car and Truck Accessories and Kitty U-Pull. Presents the World Series of Monster Trucks. Coming to Halifax, Scotia Speed World for 3 mega shows. August 5th, 6th, and 7th. Witness big air jumps from world champion, bounty hunter, and more. Plus, don't miss Major League of Freestyle Motocross. Tickets as low as $20 and on sale now at scotiaspeedworld.ca or showpass.com. Lock your seats now. Brought to you by Action Car and Truck Accessories and Kitty U-Pull. Get your tickets now.
Welcome back to Tim's Corner Live. There we go. This is episode number 68, and that is there we go, from pavement to dirt. Dylan, let's talk some dirt racing with a guy who pretty much had a clean sweep on the weekend at Valley Raceway. The driver of the number 71, Tom Stewart, is joining us. And Dylan, how about this guy that racked up not only some wins, but some cash on the weekend?
Well, you say racing clean. I mean, look at that number 71. It was pretty dusty and muddy, but I mean, whipping the field on Sunday in the feature and the dash for cash as well. Tom Stewart, driver, the number 71. Pioneer Coal, I guess, is what your main sponsor here tonight, Tom, with the big hood in the background.
Yeah, that's right. Pioneer Coal's been with me for 7 years now. So yeah, I stuck that up there.
Did Donald call you during the week and say congratulations?
No, we're not that tight.
Oh, okay. How's it going tonight?
Drive one of his cars.
Oh, we'll work on that later. How's it going tonight?
It's going great tonight. Finally cooling down.
Got to feel pretty good after getting 2 big wins on Sunday.
Yeah, it was a good day. It was. I don't know if it was the track or the car or both, but it was a flawless day, so it was good.
And I mean, to back up quickly, a few weeks ago, you got in a wreck hitting the number 68 car and put a pretty big dent on the passenger side, which you can even see in the Victory Lane video. So how much repair had to go into that car to get it ready for last Sunday?
Well, we didn't fix any of the dented stuff. We just said we'll just leave it ugly because we started ugly, so we may as well leave it ugly. But there was quite a bit of work to get the front end in that. We wanted to steer straight again, so we got that fixed.
And the track, Robbie and the crew from Howard Little Excavating, they threw magnesium on the track. The dust was hardly a factor except for at the top of the track. It probably raced the best it has in the summer I've ever seen it. So what was it? The track, you, car, or just the combo of all three, or Lady Luck?
I'll say a combo of all three because I was just determined this week to turn things around, and I'm glad that the track was a lot better. And my son's played with some air pressure, so I think he's got that handled where we need it, and it handles good. So if the track stays the way it is, I'm hoping to keep going forward.
And you were fast all day. You know, you didn't win your first heat race, but you won the second, then you won the feature, then a dash for cash, which we'll get into. But by the feature, did you know, okay, I've got a really good car for the big race here?
I got to say yes, because even that first heat race, I was racing with the 13 car, and I was trying low, trying high, but not really wanting to push the issue. But I did get into him once, and I just got off him and let him gather it up again. And if it had been a couple more laps, I think maybe I might have been able to get around him.
So let's then go through that 4-cylinder feature. I think there was maybe only one caution at the beginning. It went pretty much green the entire time. And then you pulled away instantly. A bunch of cars started pulling off with flat tires, but you had a giant lead over Stefan and Jesse by the end.
I did. And when all those cars pulled off, I didn't know what was going on either. Like I was saying, oh God, can I not hear something? Or is the race even over? Like I was just so excited that I didn't even know what lap we were on. So I said, I'm going to keep her to the floor till I get around to the flag stand anyway. So I got down to there, and I didn't know what was going on.
The word I heard, because Adam Sharon came up later and said he cut a tire, he pulls in. Another car behind him cut a tire, they pulled in. And then the other three thought the race was over and pulled in just following the leader going into the pits. That's why it was blowing my mind. You know, there were still 5 or 6 laps left to go, and everyone starts pulling off the track. And in one mind, I'm thinking, well, this is good for Tom because no slow cars are going to have an issue of causing something to bring on a late yellow. That's probably exactly what you wanted to see, is cars pulling off.
That's right. A couple of times when I seen, I think it was the 35 car, I know she get up into the bank, or John, I forget if John was driving, but they get up in the bank, and I'm like, come on, get going. And luckily they did.
I know being up on the hill announcing, and I'll feel for the drivers like yourself where there's a giant lead and a car's slowly putting around. They could have pulled off or pulled in, and they stop at the top of the track. I've sometimes wanted to throw the microphone. I'm sure there's been times you wanted to pound your fist through the dash or something like that.
When I'm racing, I don't really see it. I do see it, but I don't. But it's when I watch my son videos, the races, and I hear his excitement saying, come on, get off. Sometimes it works out, sometimes the yellow comes out.
So when the checkers eventually come out, you've got like a full straightaway lead over Team Sonic. You beat the streak. Jesse and Stefan won 2 races each earlier this year. You break that blue streak that they had going. How did that feel to just see Jerry and Bruce wave that checkered flag?
It felt great, because I knew I was kind of nervous at the end too, because there was 2 big rocks and a big rut in 1 and 2. And every time I come around there, they'd be in a different spot. And I'd be like, oh my God. And then I'd barely just miss it. And so when I seen that checker flag, I was like, I'm glad this is over, because those rocks got to go.
For context, for those watching who may not know, we're talking dirt racing. Tom Stewart just won the big 4-cylinder feature at Valley Raceway just outside of CFB Greenwood. And the track changes all the time. I mean, earlier in the day, it wasn't super slick from what it looked like, but by the end there was so much rubber on the track. But you're saying that certain big rocks will get knocked around here, then it'll be in your driving lane, right?
That's right. So I don't know if they're coming from the inside, like somebody getting off the track and knocking them out, or if they're just coming up. But I know there was a pretty good rut there, and the odd time somebody'd get up into the outside too, and that's the only dust that there was all day. So like that track was awesome.
So then after you win the 20-lap feature, the sheriff takes out $100 bill and says, top 5 in points in 4 cylinders. Let's go racing.
I'm going to interject here. Do you know how that happened, by the way?
Sure. Go ahead.
So I'm coming up for driver introductions, and Guy comes over to me and he says, I got $100 for doing the dash for cash. I said, hold your horses. What are we doing? We're doing the dash for cash. We're taking the top 4 and we're putting them in the dash. I said, V8s, trucks, 4 cylinders, monster. Like, what are we doing? And he's like, well, we got enough 4 cylinders. Let's start with them. So I said, are you taking the best 4 cylinders from the day? Are you taking the best from points? So we got to the point where it was the 5 cars, 5 laps. And he wanted to do the Australian sort of cone there where you have to pass the cone on the outside, which is great. I told him, I said, we don't throw everything at once at all these guys. I do like the idea though. And then it somehow got to 6, and then one of those cars got damaged in the feature. Then it went to 5. But Guy just came up as Guy does and says, I got $100. We're doing this. Okay, now continue.
So, and then there was talk of, okay, when are we going to do this race? You know, all afternoon they were saying it was going to be in between this and that. It was going to be before the features. It landed in between our truck and modified feature. But, you know, you don't have time to celebrate, Tom. You just got your first win since 2019, and you've got to get the car ready again for a short little dash.
That's right. I'm glad that they did it that way, because we thought we were doing the dash before the feature, and it's like, I hope everything turns out good here, because it only takes one bad wreck or tire fall off and you break something else, because we were just going to be a turnaround, like just in and right back out again. It's like, oh, I don't like that, but it turned out good.
And then on the start, Ashton Sproul starts in front of you, and along with Danielle Jones, they almost started inverted of the points. So Stefan and Jesse started to the back. Single file start, which I like too, to add a little thing into the mix. But immediately within a lap, you're already passing the 04 for the lead there. Was it, were you smelling the money, or just the car was still that good from earlier?
The car just felt that good, and I, right off the bat too, I was glad he went where he went, because I just followed right in behind him. And then it's sort of like, I watched the video a few times, and me and him sort of pulled away, and then I don't even know if I got him on the outside or the inside, but it was working good, high or low. So yeah, I knew I was, or I should say, I thought I was going to do it.
Well, and even all day, and I've been noticed too, you're one of the only guys who usually will go on the outside for a pass. A lot of guys will go inside. Guys or gals will go inside. You're always maybe even just trying to fake them on the outside first and then going on the inside. Do you try and set that up like on the backstretch thing? Okay, I'm gonna maybe fake them a little bit to the outside, or maybe I'm gonna go to the outside. How far in advance do you plan your moves?
Well, my car seems to work good on the outside. Like if thing on the outside, when you pass somebody, when you're getting up alongside of them, sometimes they don't know you're there, and that'd be the worst time to hit them is in the right side, because then they're going to go nose first into the wall. So it's a time thing most of the times, but sometimes you just get so much power, keep the power down on the outside, and it works out most of the times, but sometimes it don't.
You get another checkered flag, a little 5-lap dash, you pull away. Now, Stefan and Jesse were catching up this time, though, because they weren't dealing with lap traffic. Did you think any of them, especially Jesse, because he had a little faster car than Stefan, did you think that he had anything for you in that final lap?
I didn't even see them. I honestly put my mirror down this time. I might even take the mirror off the car. So I couldn't even see where they were at. That race has half a lap ahead. I didn't even know how far I was. I thought there was a car on my tail the whole time. But when we had that restart, I was thinking, I got to get going and going fast. Yeah.
And you got a pretty big payday relative, because 4 cylinders, you're not making pro stock money, but old Dill hands you $100 bill after doing a 5-lap race. Felt pretty good, right?
It did, yeah. So before we even went out, my crew was already talking about, if I win, how I was going to split it up with them before I even get out there. So I still owe everybody a supper, but it did feel good. So $175 day, 3 checker flags. It was good. I told my wife, I said, I had fun Sunday. I said, I always have fun racing, but I had fun there.
Well, I know it definitely made up. A few weekends ago, you got tagged in the back. Caution came out. There may have been a little miscommunication here and there. I knew you were pretty fired up at the end of the race. So getting this win, it healed all wounds, essentially. Would you say that?
It did. It made. I hate getting mad about racing and that, but the person gets fired up, and when I get fired up now, I seem like I get fired up real good, and to unfire myself on Sunday just passed was great.
And you had a lot of family at the track too.
I did, yeah. And some family from Ontario, my daughter and my grandson Axel were there, and my wife and my mother-in-law, my son and daughter down in the pits with me, and they're part of what keeps me going to enjoy this too, because I see how much enjoyment they get from it. So it's a family affair.
We've already got a few people congratulating you there on your big win. Jay Drew is congratulating. They say they think they caused the rut in turn 1 and 2 when they flipped earlier in the day.
Yeah, I was talking to him later in the day because I loaned him a radio, and I told him, I said, you can keep that to the end of the year. I said, as long as you can keep it safe. So after the wreck, he comes down, and my daughter said to me, you better have a talk to him because he didn't keep your radio very safe.
Dylan, can I hop in for a sec?
Of course.
So, Tom, I know, I have no clue about dirt racing, right? So what's it like? How do these ruts get caused in the track?
Well, I think 1 and 2, it's been a problem all year. I think it's because there's water springs underneath the ground there. So I think that's one of the real soft spots it's been havoc all year, really. So they're getting it together though, but it's just one of those soft spots that just keeps rearing its ugly face.
Perfect. I learned something new today.
When are you going to come to Valley Raceway, Brandon?
It's near the Langels, isn't it, where they live?
It's not about half an hour away.
Nate told me to stop in on Sunday. Then he realized there was a race. So,
well, okay, maybe one day. I'll just have to ask Josh and Nate if I can have a sleepover sometime.
The next race, correct me if I'm wrong, Dylan's August 10? 7. Yeah, 10 is a Wednesday. That is the week of the monster trucks. So when's the next one? Because, by the way, we had the exhibition, I guess, of the Valley off-road trucks that are going to be there the next weekend, which we're on the 250 weekend in Halifax. Every second week thereabouts, though, right?
Yeah, we have August 7th. Then we're going to have Thunder in the Valley at Valley Raceway, August 13th and 14th. And then we race. I just want to double check
now, and
here.
I am going to say that we are 95%. If you go to nsvalleyraceway.com, the schedule is on there. Everything is there, ready to go. We are waiting on a couple of things from Robbie for content to put on that website. So if you go to nsvalleyraceway.com, you can see the schedule. So August 21st is the next one. That is the weekend you guys are in Antigonish on the Saturday, right?
There you go. Yeah, Brandon, you're gonna come.
That's my birthday weekend. So
you're not coming to Newfoundland with me,
Tim? That's my birthday weekend.
Well, we can go to George Street if you want to. September 18th is the next one, which is the weekend of the Mike Stevens weekend. October 2nd. Where's the Saturday race? Sydney. Yeah, or Miramichi, one of the two. And then October 16th is the weekend after Thanksgiving. You're not doing anything. You may as well come down to that.
Wouldn't that be Shediac? Oh, the weekend after Thanksgiving.
Weekend after Thanksgiving.
So basically, you're telling me
that's the weekend. That's the weekend of Petty, by the way. That's the October. It's cold pro stock race.
So what you're telling me is I'm screwed till October, basically.
No, it's Sunday. Do something Saturday. Come on down Sunday, and then hitch a ride back home or take Monday off.
I
don't work. What do you do?
I work. I don't keep the hammer down like you do either.
We have fun, but yeah, it's the schedule. If you go to nsvalleyraceway.com, the website is like 95% ready. So you can head over there and check it out. We're just waiting on some stuff from Robbie. So if Robbie and Chris are listening tonight, the honey-do list is a little shorter, but we still need you to finish it up. Jay Drew says it's in a safe spot now, and I'll put a holder in the car whenever I can get some work done on it. So there you go. The radio is safe, Tom.
Yeah. So I talked to him after that. So he was. I was more worried about him, but he's good.
And it's good to see him climb out of that race car. That's the first rollover I think I've seen all season. So everybody's been trying to keep it, knock on wood, on four wheels. Joe Harry says you still need to come to Lake Dowsett Motor Speedway. I'm assuming that means Brandon.
See, and you guys always say I'm not popular and famous. Here we are.
Yeah,
but I do want to make it there. I haven't even made it to Miramichi, and that's only an hour from my house.
But you were there a lot. You've never been to Lake Dowsett. That's the problem. You've never been to Valley Raceway.
Because it's a 35-hour drive.
Take the Fundy Rose.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's still an hour and a half to St. John. Isn't that the boat I take?
Yes. Yeah. That's not the boat you take. Digby? That's not the rowboat you take to Newfoundland.
Oh, Ryan Matthews probably isn't watching, but Ryan, you can't take a boat to Newfoundland.
It's probably, well, you can if you want to. You just can't take the rowboat.
You can't take your own.
By the way, I think my plan this weekend, since we are close enough, Scotia, from our understanding, we are not doing video at the IWK 250 this year. So my understanding is that I can leave my video equipment there on Saturday at Scotia, actually get some sleep, and actually go to Lake Dowsett on Sunday. Dylan, you know me, I was kind of zonked out during the heat races on Sunday.
You were in Bruce's chair. You were in Bruce's chair.
I was
having a nap.
I felt it Monday. I slept. I will be completely honest. I got no work done. I slept most of Monday. It's the first time I've done that in a very long time. But yeah, so hopefully I'll get some sleep this weekend and go to Lake Dowsett. So, Tom, before I go back to Dylan, because I'm having fun listening to this dirt conversation, I want to ask the pavement conversation, because you spent a lot of time racing at Scotia Speed World to really kick off your racing career. Do you miss the pavement?
Well, I was hoping you were going to ask that question. I remember when I was at Scotia, I come down to the valley a couple times and I watched the races and I thought, geez, I don't think I would like that at all. And you know what? It was true. I don't like it. I love it. I honestly don't want to go back to pavement now. I don't think, because pavement is fun too, but I find the dirt track is for me, it's a little bit above the excitement of being on the paved track. I think Greg Banks would think the same way, because he used to race the dirt and then they paved Lake Dowsett and he made his own track. So I miss the guys. I miss the guys up there a lot. I miss racing with Steve Matthews, the Jolly Moores, of course, Big Kenny, but Kenny always gets mad at me all the time. But
who doesn't he get mad at, right?
But that's good.
So let me pitch it to you this way, because I know Mike Omla is famous for this. Let's say somebody has a car that they need a driver for a night. Would you step in?
Oh yeah, for sure. I was talking to Pete Lawrence one day, and I asked him when he was taking his old car out, and I think he's going to PEI. Then he said he's going to Scotia. I said, well, I'll make sure I'm there to cheer you on that night. He said, well, I might need a driver, so I told him I'll throw my gear in the trunk anyway when I come.
There you go, driver for hire. And Dylan, I'll segue to you with this. Old dirt car, I might be able to find a photo of it. Old dirt car practicing yesterday. That was a pavement car. Now it was a dirt car. Now it's a pavement car. Now it's a hot rod. Practicing at Oyster Bend on Tuesday.
Yeah, pretty cool. Ryan Wheatley. I remember him driving that a couple of years ago. It was definitely 2018, I think.
Yeah, it sounds about right. I'm going to find a photo for Paul.
Yeah. It's on the OBS Facebook group. If you need to take a look, but yeah, that's pretty exciting that we're going to potentially have at least one Islander hot rod. Ricky Miller, I think they've been working on a Dodge whatever for.
He's been working on a hot rod since 1862, apparently.
Have you seen his mini stock?
Yeah, apparently he got upset at somebody on Saturday night. I could probably find you that photo too.
That's a good photo.
So did we find it?
I sent it to Paul. Paul, it's coming your way. There's a couple of more hot rods coming out though. So that I know Darren Bazansen's looking at, I think the Scotia Riverside double. I think Blinkhorn's looking at it. Yeah, throw that up there. So there's the Ryan Wheatley car that used to be Alan McPhail's car back on the pavement at Oyster Bend. They're gearing that one up, but it kind of looks like it's been through a dirt track race at Valley.
I would say so. And honestly, right now, and Tom can allude to, we've got a sweet Plymouth Satellite at Valley Raceway now. Like that should be racing with the hot rods too. I need to go up to Alex and say, dude, you got to come to Scotia Speed World.
That's right. That's an awesome looking car.
So it's exciting that coming up the July 30th with the Pro Stock Tour, Heart of a Champion back at PEI. That's our next event actually coming up for Heart of a Champion. Looking forward to getting back on the island coming up. That's after the big 250 weekend. But Tom, for us on the dirt, we're off until the beginning of August. So with the car being so good last Sunday, do you just leave it until the 7th, or are we going to touch it a couple of times?
We got to touch it a few times. I'm on vacation right now, and I told my wife, I said, you do know I am going to be going out in the garage a little bit to spend some time with my race car, right?
Go ahead.
I say, I don't know. I have another motor that I was putting new bearings and new pistons and that in. I don't want to not do it, but I sort of don't want to mess around with too much stuff to end up screwing things up.
Yeah, that's the fine line. You got to be careful. You don't want to change out too much because the 7th of August, you might be at the back of the pack, maybe.
Yeah, and we don't want that.
No. You're still serving for the Canadian military. You're based at a 14-wing Greenwood.
I am, that's correct. And I do have quite a fan base of the military people that do follow me and come to the track a lot. I had some free tickets one time. I was doing a draw at work, and one of my buddies bought a ticket, and he said, I've been here 6 years and never even seen the Valley Raceway. He won the very first 2 tickets I drew, and he hasn't missed a race since.
It's still a weird thing where I'll even get a lot of people saying, where's this dirt track that you work at? It's still new. It's only been around really since 2014. And I guess I would say 2015 as a proper track with bi-weekly racing. But I'm sure you've had a number of people besides folks at work saying, where's this dirt track you're racing at?
I do. I have it all the time. Like people say that they think when I say down the valley, they think Lake Dowsett. But it's like, no, it's a dirt track, like 10 minutes away from where you live at. They said, really? I said, yeah, you must be able to hear the car. I said, well, I hear stuff, but I didn't know it was a racetrack out there.
So we're packing the place this year. Doesn't matter if gas is a toonie, we're packing those stands. So people know we may have to get Robbie to build some more at this rate here. Let's talk about that too. You're the first Valley driver we've had on in a while since we got racing. Robbie Thompson and his wife, Michelle, are running the show now. Chris LeBaron also helping. How are you feeling the new ownership is running? Of course, Greg Banks and Peggy are still helping out. Greg especially, he's still putting kitty litter on the track to try and dry up oil. But
he almost got run over in that last race.
He almost got run over. But how do you feel with the new folks running the track so far this year?
Well, I find that Greg did a great job, but Greg and Peggy, I've talked to them numerous times before this, and you have too, and they've had so much work to do themselves to get things up. I find it's great now that Robbie's there. Robbie and Chris, they're still busy people, but they got a little bit more time to put in, like us taking our cars to his store and the advertisements and some of the things that he's doing right now. It's great. Like, it was good to see that their monster truck, and then those I'm not sure what they're called, the trucks that were there Sunday anyway. But it's bringing people in. And one thing I'm going to ask people to do is start sharing the Valley Raceway page. Like, start putting some good comments in there to draw a lot more people in, because like you say, the stands are packed. I've always found the stands down there were packed anyway. Like they're really packed, but our fan base it's pretty good. And the last 2 weeks I've had people from Boston cheering for me. So last Sunday there was people from Boston, and then this week there was somebody else from Boston, and they said, talking to my wife, and they said, oh, by the way, the other couple, they said, hope he does good this week. So that's good.
Hey, Dylan.
Yes, sir.
We get a late model that rolls in there sometimes too, don't we?
Oh, it almost rolled on Sunday.
Did it?
It's close.
Yeah.
So, I mean, late models on that track would be cool.
I know Robbie's been talking about that. By the way, there's the Valley Raceway Facebook page, NS Valley Raceway on Facebook. Go over and like it if you haven't already. But Dylan, you can probably say better than I did, because it sounded sick for about the last 5 laps. Like, it almost sounded like Guy was kind of playing with the field a little bit. And that's kind of what I thought he was. He got a full straightaway lead, and he started playing with the throttle a little bit. Then all of a sudden, I was watching the battle for third, and I look over, and here's this car in the air. So I don't know what happened to get it there, but it was pretty exciting, if it was anything.
It's the fastest that car's ever gone.
Wally will. So it was a Wally Wilson car, right?
Right.
Willie Wilson.
Yeah.
And Chris LeBaron did tell me, where did Wally get the car from?
Gary Elliott. I thought so.
There you go. That the more you know.
Exactly.
The more you know. Okay, continue, Dylan.
Yeah, well, it's funny enough. Adam White's watching. He says, "Congrats, Tom, on the win. 71 was looking good." Adam was on the dirt for the first time ever and driving a rear wheel race car, first time ever on Sunday. He loved it. He's addicted to it.
And who was that again?
Adam White. He was driving the 81 truck.
Okay, yeah. I was talking to the 10 truck too, and he said he loves it too.
We're slowly getting all the Lake Dowsett drivers to come up and race with us for full time now.
That's right. We'll get them here.
But that race, and funny enough, Adam was standing next to me, and he said, "Oh, I think Guy's playing." But I had a suspicion that something was going wrong because, I mean, Guy had a full straightaway lead. Who would let up like that? I know Guy likes putting on a show for the fans, but, I mean, you got a full straightaway lead. You're not giving that up for no reason. And yeah, Ricky and John Sanford caught up. I don't know if Guy tried doing a last-second block because he made contact with Ricky, and that's what put him in the wall or the bank and then almost flipping over. We almost had 2 flip overs in one day. And Adam says, "You're going to see me on the dirt more often." So I think he was saying he can't make the next one, but the August 21st race, he's going to be coming up. And Tom, you know, you're one of those guys who was doing the asphalt racing for a while, and now you've got the dirt hooked up in your veins. What would you say to a driver who's been kind of thinking about maybe bringing out a spare car? They're not sure. Maybe they want to sub in. What would you say to a driver who is maybe a bit nervous doing the dirt?
Well, I'm gonna throw this out to a lot of the Scotia drivers. I think they're done before us. So after their season's done, why don't they come down and give it a try? Because it's a handful of steering wheel when you get behind those, and you're constantly trying to get the car under control, but at the same time, it's a fast under control. And yeah, come give it a try because. On the pavement, you get multiple lanes, but they still sort of feel the same. But on the dirt, every lane feels different, and every lap they feel different. So I would say for them to come give it a try. And I know Dillman was hooked onto it for a while, but yeah.
Yeah, I hope to see Jamie and Hillbilly Racing back at Valley Raceway, maybe towards the end of the year. I know they just bought a house, so I'm sure they got some other things on the go. But Tom, so correct me if I'm wrong, but in 2020, Valley didn't run. But did you take that 71 to Lake Dowsett Motor Speedway a few times? I know a lot of the Valley guys were going there.
Yeah, I think I went down 4 times, I think. And at the end of it, I was starting to get a grip on it, but tires are everything with cars, and I was using my dirt tires trying to go on the pavement, and then finally I did get a set of tires that were half hour. Then my engine started going sour on me, so it didn't work out. So that was the very last race that they had down there of the year. So I tried to finish it out, but it didn't work out very good. But I was starting to get a handle on it.
So what'd you think of Lake Dowsett compared to Valley, compared to Scotia?
Well, when I first went down there and I first come over that hill and paid the admission, I looked down and I'm like, holy Jesus, like it looked like it was a Daytona track. It looked so big. And then I thought, holy God, what speed we're gonna get here. And you do get some good speed there. Like it's like the uphill and downhill part. And I watched a few dirt races there too, and it looked pretty wild. And,
yeah, way back in the day.
Yeah, I was a little nervous too because I forget the young fellow that used to drive the Hondas. He went down there and he did a couple barrel rolls down the front stretch.
Scott Williams.
Yeah. I seen that and it's like, holy Jesus, I hope that don't happen to me down there. But they're very nice people down there too. Ed LeBlanc, I talked to him quite a bit, and his father, Ed Senior, and there's a lot of other people down there that are very nice people.
Yeah. Just before that, I could be wrong, but I think that's the car that Tyler Hallahan has now. Because I think that was the Darren Fleming car that went to Steve McPhee that went to Neil.
Yeah,
that
Neil
just-
had it last.
Yeah, that just got bought by Tyler, because I know it used to be a Steve McPhee car, and I know somebody had said it used to be a Darren Fleming car. So that car that did those barrel rolls in that V8 stock race or that open race, I think he still has some life.
That it's funny. It's funny how these cars last so long. Like my car has been a race car. Mark Campbell built that car with, I don't know who else helped him build it, but that's a long time ago.
I think that was the car that he had to take parts off in order for Mark McMillan to win the championship in 2010. That's how long it's been. That I'm feeling old saying that now. That's before Dylan's time. Dylan, go ahead. I'm having fun listening to this. This is a blast.
Yeah, we're having a good time talking dirt. And if you have any dirt questions, leave them in the comment section, and we'll get them to Tom or get them to me, Tim, Brandon, maybe even Paul. Paul, you ever done any little dirt racing or watched dirt racing down in Connecticut?
You know, I haven't yet. I don't believe there's any dirt tracks here. I mean, I've very obviously, anybody that follows me on Facebook, even on the show a couple of times, we made mention that I rolled the ATV about a month and a half ago. So I definitely like doing dumb stuff, and I'm an adrenaline junkie. So if the opportunity for me came up to jump in a dirt car, I would absolutely jump on it.
You'd probably be there before Brandon would.
Probably, because Brandon can't get his car started.
Why would you jump on the car, man? Somebody's gonna let you drive it.
Hey, you got to turn heads. You got to make people talk. Even if they're talking trash, they're still talking about you.
Okay, Jeff.
By the way,
Eric Bischoff that said that. I think it was in his book.
By the way, Tom, and we didn't mention this to Dylan, but we were having a conversation about a minivan division at Valley. I think Dylan would fit right in with that.
I think he would too.
Yeah.
We're gonna have well, I mean, why not? I mean, there's plenty of minivans kicking around, I'm sure.
It started, there was somebody behind the driver's meeting in a minivan, and they started to rev the engine almost like they didn't have it in gear. They thought it was in gear, so instead of it moving, it revved. Yeah. And I think that's where it started. We needed the minivan division. So Dylan, that would be right up your alley.
I mean, as a kid, I always thought, why wasn't there a NASCAR van division? Because that was when the minivans started becoming a big thing in the late 90s, early 2000s. You had a truck series, you had the cars. I mean, you could have a Dodge Grand Caravan. You could have the Chevy Lumina van. There was a couple possibilities, but I mean, we don't want a soccer mom division, or maybe we do. I would be curious to have a van division actually at Valley Raceway now.
Jay Drew is on board.
Okay. Well,
so there's one.
Well, I mean, just rip her out. H-bar in there. Make it like our bomber division. Every track's getting a bomber division now. So to make that the affordable racing class.
Yeah, there you go.
And Tom, I'll throw it to you for this one. And that's been a hot topic, especially this year, with cost of living going up, gas costing more than an arm and a leg. For the bigger teams, it's supply chain issues. But we're seeing tracks. Miramichi is doing the bomber racing perfectly. Sydney's doing bomber racing pretty good. What would be a good entry-level class to get some people that wouldn't maybe have the tech savviness or maybe welding skills, or what's something that we could do, maybe like a van division or something a bit cheaper to get some people in? What would your ideas be?
I know vans are there's not a lot of vans. There's a lot of vans around now, but not many people are making vans anymore. So I don't really know if that would work so much. I'd like to see some 6-cylinder cars. There's got to be lots of front-wheel drive 6-cylinder cars out there, or I think there is. That's the problem with the cars these days. There's so much security and all that stuff in them that you really got to watch what year you get into, because they are quite a handful to get running after you start ripping all the security stuff out of them. And for somebody that's just in their backyard doing that, it's once you rip I don't even know what security parts it is, but once you rip them out, that car don't want to go no more. So I think we should have I know we already have a truck division, but if we had a 4-cylinder truck class division, like the small Chevy S10s that were originally 4 cylinders, they're, as long as they don't let people do too much to them, like sort of the same as what we are. You got to stay really stock and not let the engines be hampered with, because I think that's like Scotia. When Scotia did that, I think a lot of money went into some of those trucks, and some people only had limited amount of money, and like it really showed at race days.
It's always we could certainly throw around ideas, and you never know. Maybe we'll do another enduro. We did a couple of years ago. We had V6s out on the track. I just want to dial back to Tom. We had 4 events at Valley Raceway in 2021. You didn't race in 2021, if I remember.
No, that's right. So at the first year, I remember me and you and Greg and all them. We all had a meeting.
Yes.
We thought we were heading in the right way, and then COVID came back. And then I just sort of stopped working on my car. And then that was sort of the same time that I had some issues with my left hand. So I couldn't even use my hand. So it's pretty hard to do anything with one hand. And I wanted to, but I couldn't even hold a wrench. So it was like, and I knew I wouldn't be able to drive a car like that. So we just went and watched a few races, and every time I seen the cars going, it's like, oh yeah, I'm getting the car going this time, but my hand just wouldn't let me do it. So it sucked that year, but it is what it is.
Lit the fire to get ready for this year.
Yeah, it lit the fire this year. But as you can see it, the first this year, I was still struggling with, like, I had the car and the body and everything all fixed up, and I thought I had the engine all ready to go until I put it in the car, and it had that knock somewhere, and we just couldn't find it. Changed bottom ends, top ends, and finally I just took it out and said, I'll just put this old motor back in. I threw a couple. They weren't even new bearings; they were just some bearings I had laying around, and I said, I'll just slap all this together and knock on wood. So I better knock on wood again that it's actually still holding together and it's doing what I want it to do. And I was thinking when you guys were talking that there's a lot of time I was in the garage, and I really was laying under the car watching you guys on Wednesday nights, like laying under there. That first time I was supposed to be on the show, I laid under the car that night, had the show on, watching it, putting the motor in, and yeah.
We like talking racing. It gets us through the cold winter, got us through COVID, and it's getting us through racing season where we can reflect on the weekend you just had. I was just going to dive into a thing too now I remember. So, I mean, me and you were talking all off season about, hey, have you heard anything about what's going on? Are we going to be racing? And I remember I literally messaged you, said, yep, Greg and Peggy said we're racing. And then the next day, the message came out that we weren't racing. And you were one of the guys that were trying to get something going before Robbie stepped in. So that must have brought the wind out of the sail, and then back pretty quick, because I think within a week it was announced that Robbie was going to be taking the track over.
Yeah, that's right. When me and you were talking that day, and I was all excited, it's like, good, so there's going to be a schedule coming out soon. And then, like you say, the next day, and it's like, oh my Jesus, like, am I still sleeping or something? Or is and I think I automatically called Greg and them too, just like to see. I didn't know if it was a health issue in somebody's family or something. And then COVID really took a hard hit on a lot of people. And I keep saying this, I'm glad that Robbie and Chris did have the will to want to try to do this, because we all knew that this track it's successful, but it's hard to be successful if there's only 2 people doing a lot of the work. Like Greg and Peggy, they put their heart and soul and sweat and blood into this track, and even they were disappointed when they said they had to send that letter out. And I remember going to the junkyard even just to talk to them to see what we could do or how we could get some people together and try to get something going. But there's more to it than what we think there is. We don't just show up on Sunday and unload the cars and go racing. And so they did their best, and they're still a big part of this racing. And I'm thankful for all of them that we do have somewhere to go play. Like I tell everybody that on all of them on a weekly basis that I'm glad you give us a playground to go to.
And I mean, Robbie instantly, and there's my cat Dewey. What do you like about Valley Raceway? Well, he must be a Lake Dowsett fan.
Oh, hold on.
Anyways.
Is he fighting the guinea pigs tonight?
No, he's actually been pretty good. So he's waiting for another time,
okay.
I guess. Okay, buddy. All right, see you later. Robbie, I mean, when they announced that they were not running, Robbie called me within 5 minutes of that going out and say, "Let's talk. I'm getting the track. I want you to stay on as the announcer. I'm going to plan this, and then hold tight." And within a week, we had a new dude running the track. I'm just looking through some comments here. I'm stealing Brandon's job, but Adam says, might bring up the 81 for 2 October races after I'm done at Lake Dowsett if there's anything left. So you may have another 4-cylinder on your hands there, Tom, by October. We could have some pretty big fields as we're getting them bigger and bigger week by week.
That's right. I remember we were having like that one year where we had to have two heat races, like split them up because there was so many cars. We didn't want to wreck everybody in the heat races. But
yeah,
it's getting there again because it's the numbers are coming up, and I find the competition is good too. Like I think there's some young people out there that are just getting into racing, and when you're young getting into racing, you're either right to the floor and you're wide open and going cowabunga, and then some of the other people are just trying to feather their way into it, and both ways are good. But I would encourage more people to come give it a try. I was even thinking maybe someday we have like I forget where we did this one time, or the track did it, or it might have been down the old Riverside, where the girls used to get into the street stocks and they would do a race, like the wives of the drivers or something, but it was all women that would jump into other people's cars.
like a better half dash.
Yeah. And I think it was down the old Riverside, I believe, when I was a kid seeing racing down there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sure, Tim, you could probably agree that Peggy could take that number 18 for a good spin and win.
She could probably drive it better than Greg could. Yeah, I think the women on wheels, obviously there's a division that is formed from Petty, but I know they used to do it at Scotia Speed World too. And heck, we used to do it with the iRacing, with the New England, Pennsylvania iRacing series. So it's one of those things that we can, maybe look at before we'll make a last call on social media now for Tom, but I kind of want to steer back. Jay Drew was talking about family and heartbreaking about being no racing, and then getting out there and asking the old man for the car and getting back out there. And it's good to see them out there. But I want to get down to the meat and potatoes of this thing. I know you discussed and you shared the post about points. You're close. You're second in points. We got half the season left to go. Are you thinking championship, and what would it mean to take away that championship at Valley Raceway this year?
It would mean a great deal to get the championship. I can't say I don't look at points. I do look at points. Each week I just go out there and want to have fun and do the best that I can. And every racer, the best that you can be is to be first. But it's not everything to me. If I don't have that first place at the end of the year, as long as I have fun every race from here to the end, I would be happy, as long as everybody's safe. But yeah, it would be good to have a championship. I know at Scotia, when I came third that year, it was pretty exciting, and just to know I was that close, and if not for me, for everybody else, my wife, my kids. So yeah, and all my sponsors.
Absolutely. And Brandon, I know we'll have an ear up for this. I was told, Dylan, that if Ricky Balser wins the modified championship, he's buying all the beer at the banquet.
I heard that, and he grew his point lead. So
where is the banquet, and how do I get there?
Probably the Kingston Fire Hall.
And where am I staying after that?
I heard Tim. The last time I went to a banquet for Valley was Dylan. You were out. You couldn't. I ended up hosting a banquet one year for them. And I ended up staying at Tim DeVoe's. Now that I've been to a lot of banquets, and I got a lot of banquet stories. That one was a great banquet. That was a time in Greenwood.
Now, Ben, you said you'd pick me up in Bar Harbor anytime I wanted to, right? To come up and hang out. Maybe the banquet's the first time I come up to the north side of the wall.
Paul, that's about an 8-hour drive from Bar Harbor to the dirt track.
How long's that in a rowboat?
If fast.
Take the cat. They sponsor Sean Pierce. Take the cat.
There you go.
but yeah, that banquet was a time. Tim DeVoe, by the way, did a phenomenal job singing the anthem on.
Jeez,
on
and he
Sunday.
hyped the crowd. I think he's got to be the permanent hype man from now on.
Yeah, we're out of a job. It is what it is.
And you know what? And Robbie's no slouch too. I'm getting out of it. I'm getting worked out of a job here by Tim and Robbie.
Yeah, absolutely. They do a great job at doing what they do, and I know Tim's got some karaoke stuff and whatever else. And
Chewy's he's right. We got ourselves a brouhaha.
Hold on. Where is he?
He ran away because he's a chicken. Because the commissioner saw it happen.
Mick Foley all over it. Jay Drews is always a good time in the Maritimes. Yeah, we could go on about banquet stories, and I'm looking forward to getting back to banquets this year. I know Scotia's is October 22. The Pro Stock Tour, I think, is November 5 in Dartmouth. That's going to be a good time. So, Brandon, if you haven't marked those on your calendar yet, perfect time to do it.
What were they? I'm still thinking about the dirt track.
October 22 in Truro for Scotia.
Okay.
November 5th in Dartmouth. Dartmouth is a great time, by the way.
Anyways.
Yeah. And that's the Pro Stock Tour banquet. So, and then Valley will probably have theirs. I've been to some good Miramichi banquets too. Those have been good, but
I haven't even been to one of them yet.
Time flies, the Miramichi banquets. Just leave it at that one. Tom, you mentioned sponsors, you mentioned marketing partners, and I know you got a lot of them on the car. You got a lot of fans and a lot of crew that supports you every single week at Valley Raceway. Who makes that for you?
I want to say first, Tim, I got my good luck T-shirt on, and I think I'll be wearing this from now on. So, I want to thank you guys for having me on the show for starters. Thank you very much. I want to thank Pioneer Coal. Like I say, they've been on the side for seven years now, and I'm very grateful for that. Scrapco Atlantic down here in the valley. Nunbay Auto Salvage, still can't say it right, Dylan.
None of us.
I want to thank Integrity Printing, Peter Lawrence, Finish Line Vinyl Design, Mama Sophia's, and OK Tire in Greenwood. And as always, I want to have a special thanks to my wife for putting up with me being out in the garage for hours and hours and hours, and my kids for helping out with me at the track every Sunday. I even offered my son to drive the car. He said, "No, Dad, I'm going to keep you in the points." He said, "So you drive it." Robbie and Chris, I'm so grateful that you guys came on board and got the track to where it's moving forward again after crappy COVID. And I know Greg and Peggy are glad that it's moving forward in the way it's going. And the fans, if there was no fans out there, we'd be just driving around in circles for nothing. And the fans make it good when you jump out of the car and you see, you don't even know if they're all cheering for you, but in my mind, they're all cheering for me when I win. So I want to thank the fans, and yeah, keep coming to the races and support local racetracks.
As long as they're making noise, it's all that matters, right?
That's right. If they're booing, it sounds like a cheer to me.
Now, I know you've been following our Pro Stock Tour stuff and what have you, and I know you've got Pioneer Coal in the background, but who's winning the IWK 250?
I think it's going to be somebody new this year. I forget a lot of the names. I can't really pick one. I know Slom White. I know my wife would want me to say Slom White, and it seems like I am a pretty good Slom White fan now too myself. Like Donald's not running like the series all the time, so I always like to try to pick somebody that's going for all the races and has that chance of winning. So yeah, it would be Slom White.
Yeah, names
Not a bad pick.
Yeah, names on the screen, and I like the idea of that other Nova racing car that's in there. Not Mike Skinner's going to be good, but I like the idea of Russell Smith Jr. too, if he can put it together. It's going to be a great show. Get to the racetrack and watch it. If not, you can listen on Racetime Radio. Tom, this has been a blast. Congratulations on the wins last week. Looking forward to seeing what the second half of the season has to hold for the 71 car at Valley Raceway.
Thanks for having me on the show, Tim, and keep doing what you do, buddy, because if there was nobody doing what you do, there'd be a lot of tracks that wouldn't have a lot of people. So I thank you for what you do.
We appreciate it. That's Tom Stewart, driver of the number 71 4-cylinder car. And Dylan, our next events coming up are this weekend. We'll start with the Car Star Weekly Racing Series on Friday night, the Sunbelt Rentals night at the racetrack. And then this one right here, well, maybe, yes, back for Paul, make up your mind. There it is. Auto World Mass York 100 on Saturday.
I can't wait. I'm excited. Now, this was supposed to be the third round, but because Shediac got rained out, this is round number 2, so we've gone over a month without mass racing. Brady Creamer winning the inaugural race back at Lake Dowsett Motor Speedway in early June. Good entry list. Looks like we're probably going to be around the 23 mark. I know 25 are listed, but I think maybe 1 or 2 have bowed out already, but you never know. You never know.
Yeah, Paul, put that entry list on. Well, yeah, put that one there first. That's the Sunbelt Rentals night. You can see both of these races on Tim's Corner TV. The York 100 entry list. Okay, so let's talk about this. So Craig McFetrich calls me this morning. He's like, I got 3 more entries to add. Who does that? I said, it's not me, but we'll add it on the show. Why not? Dylan Blankhorn has withdrawn from the race. Now, I know he was supposed to have his car ready. He's got a car that hasn't seen the racetrack for a few years. He told me it's not going to be ready. Now, I know the Blankhorn team. I know Terry and the boys. Hi, Dewey. I'm sure that he may be there, but Dylan said at this point, do not count on me being there. And Heather told me that Joey's not coming. Now, that doesn't mean Joey's not coming with a race car. Or that just means that Heather doesn't want him to come. So we took him off the list for now. So right now that's 23. That's on your screen. You might have a couple more show up. Depending on what happens Friday night, you might have a couple drop out. I know Dylan Dow was at the racetrack today testing. You're going to have a few more that might hop in. Bernie was an entry that got formed today. There was another one, Darren Hilchey got added to the list today. So there's 2 more. Brentley Perry got added, I think, in the last couple of days. But you got your mass regulars, obviously, Frank Frazier, Ronnie McKay, Dennis Nickerson, Kevin Morse, Colby Smith, Brady Kramer, Chris Reed is coming, Byron Bartlett's coming, Richard Salter is on the list, Corey Breen's on the list, JP and Steve from Lake Dowsett. It's going to be hard to beat Devin Smith. We technically didn't do a fantasy pick this week. Going to be hard to beat Devin Smith. Pete Miller's really coming into his own. But you look at last week's race, and I'm talking the Scotia Weekly Series. Jeffrey Breen had a shot at the Shriners Classic. You had Jesse DeVoe, who's not on the entry list right now. There's another one that might decide to show up if he wants to. He had a shot at the Shriners Classic for a while. You had a bunch of really good cars that could have won the Shriners Classic last week. It just happened to be Devin Smith's night, got out front, stayed the course, won the race. Alex Johnson has been strong every time we hit the racetrack. The 51 has been strong every time we hit the racetrack. There's some good drivers there. Harry Ross White looked good for a while on Friday night. Phil Barkhouse is back behind the wheel. There's some really good cars here, Dylan, that I don't think you can pick a winner out of the 23 that are there, and who else knows who might show up on Saturday afternoon.
Couple other things to consider too. Shriners Classic was only 50 laps.
Yeah,
this is going to be double what the Shriners Classics was last Friday. Devin Smith dominated, but can that 94 hang on for an extra 50 laps potentially? Oh, by the way, Brady Creamer is down here at this race, and he showed up big time at the end of the inaugural race at Lake Dowsett Motor Speedway. Certainly a late run car for him. Correct me if I'm wrong, doesn't he have a good finish under his belt at Scotia Speed World?
I don't, and he's going to correct me. I don't think he's got to win. He's got a couple of podium finishes. He showed up one year for the opener and completely shocked everybody and should have won that race. He should have won the AJK, but obviously Devin had a quick car. There's a bunch of coulda, woulda, shouldas there on Brady Kramer's resume at Scotia in the sportsman car. This could be the night that he ends up winning one. I know Brandon Carter's not coming. I know Curtis and them have have some things there this weekend, but The other thing is, too, when you look at the Scotia schedule, we keep talking about Scotia has the biggest concentration and nucleus of sportsman cars in Atlantic Canada. There's two big specials in August. There's Sportsman 100, a part of the Summer Clash 250 presented by Superior Foundations and Atlantic Tilt Load Weekend on the Friday. And then 2 weeks after that is the AJK 50. So you've got two specials in August that this might be the last 2 weeks have been a really good indication of what we're going to see. Obviously, we know Devon's going to be quick, but who does their homework? And obviously, a slightly different rules package on Saturday than what we run on our Friday weekly shows. Mainly the exhaust, but it takes you 20 minutes to change the exhaust from going out the back out the door. But most of the rules are pretty much the same. Tony and Jason and Craig have done a great job of that. So I think you're going to see the ability. You're going to see who's strong here is going to be strong on the 250 weekend in August. That's going to be strong in the AJK. That may very well have a shot at winning a sportsman championship, at least for the weekly guys, because we're halfway through the Fleet Break Atlantic sportsman season. They have a championship point race on Friday night. So last week was a show points race. Alex Johnson still leads the point standings. They all got 100 points for showing up. You got what you got. So who knows? By the way, I did talk to a couple of people. Nicholas Noggle was testing a legend car today at Scotia Speed World. I've been told that there's a couple of extra drivers that have legend cars, especially the Bandolero kids that can't do both on a Friday night, that are going to be racing with us on Saturday for the Strictly Hydraulics Legends feature. So you're going to have a bigger field of legend cars. The Lightning cars always put on a show. Now, I haven't been told by management whether it's a points race or not. I have been told by conflicting people from drivers saying that it is and it isn't. So I haven't heard from Ken Cunning or Dan McLeod whether that is a points race for legends or points race for Lightning cars. Regardless, the boys are going to show up and put on a show. So
it's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun Saturday.
It is.
And the weather's looking great.
And by the way, I guess we'll let the cat out of the bag now. Brandon is staying home, which means I got to cancel his hotel. I got to break that down on my list.
Oh man, that's where we were going to party there.
We were going to party like it's 1999, and Brandon was going to try to find the Bible again. But that's
I was hardly born in 1999. I was 2 years old.
Well, there you were. Anyways, so Rational Richard is actually going to be with us, and Rational Richard is going to be producing the show for us on Saturday. So that's going to be neat. First race, he's going to be in the production chair, and he's going to be doing the York 100. So
you know what, Tim?
What?
I hope he's really good and wants to do every race from now on.
I talked to Grace Gilby today for a little bit. She says she's ready.
As long as Gage isn't around, Grace would probably be okay.
Well, Gage is racing every race though, so that's going to be I might have to pull her away from the League of Legends stuff a little bit. But yeah, they had a great time with you in PEI, didn't they?
Yeah, well, the rain kind of brought them around, but at first it was me and Grace and Gunna. And then they left and Gage showed up and I looked behind me and all the Langels are there. Grace and Gunna and Gage, and everyone just wanted to press stuff. So at the end of it, Gage was our lap counter and Grace was switching the cameras. And
she said the only thing that she had to figure out is replays. So maybe
I don't even know that.
I don't even know that either. I don't think Heidi does either, but we make it work.
We try.
Yeah. So we might see a new producer or two coming up on the but and what we said earlier are, from what I'm told right now, we race Friday, we race Saturday, at least video side wise, and then we're off again until the next week with the Canadian National Autism Foundation at Scotia and then the BJ's Truck Center 150 at Oyster Bed Speedway. So the video right now, unless something drastically changes in the next couple of hours, takes a little bit of a break next week. I get to go back and enjoy the IWK 250 with you, Dylan, and the folks at Racetime Radio, and get to do that portion of it. Technically, we're not off. I think potentially we may be doing one in Miramichi. The TNL abatement firecracker night. Still have to confirm whether we're doing that or not, but you might have something to watch on the Tim's Corner.
You want to know a secret?
What's that?
You want to let the cat out of the bag?
What's that?
There will be one reason that everyone needs to go to that track.
I heard there's a magic show.
Well, that's my cousin's doing a magic show, but the real magic show will be the person driving the 68 Bomber that day.
Is it the magician? Because you can't make a car start. Maybe
No.
he can.
No, I don't even know if the car starts right now. It hasn't ran since last year, but it'll be a show.
Oh, well, there you go. So
and Daniel Addy will be there.
Wait, so you're not coming to the IWK 250?
My whole family's sponsoring Miramichi. I should probably go.
Well, I mean, it's the IWK 250. Dylan, what are we going to do?
I don't know. At the Domino's Pizza with John Rankin.
Apparently. We'll have something. Michelle's Grill might be making some deliveries.
Oh, the amount of beer and fish and chips and pizza we're going to have.
Paul, you busy next weekend?
I'd have to check the old schedule. I don't think so.
Oh, look, it's free.
But there's a lot of exciting.
See
the track. There's a lot of exciting racing coming up. I mean, I'm looking forward to this weekend. Selfishly, I live 20 minutes away from Scotia Speed World. So I'm looking forward to Saturday. And it's almost a compact show, too. Gates don't open until 12:30. We race at 4.
There's only 3 divisions. So there really isn't a whole lot. For turnaround time on the show, it should be a quick show until we get to the Sports 100. And we'll see what helmets get put on these race car drivers, whether they kind of get, choked off with oxygen or we actually get a good show out of it. It goes one way or the other, usually at Scotia, but, and then, it's a late. So my thought process hasn't been right in the last couple of weeks is that we get done relatively early, knock on wood, at Scotia. We put the blinders up, we close everything off, we copy footage, we do everything that we need to do on our end to make sure everything's good. I get some sleep. I go to Lake Dowsett on Sunday. Yeah. So I enjoy some racing down there. I know I told Dangerous Doug and I told Joe Harry that I'd be down there. So by the way, Lloyd Jedry and Jody, the lobster dip, phenomenal last week. Absolutely. Now, Lloyd had told me that Jody didn't think it came out right, but it was. I can tell you that it was phenomenal.
Get us the one that you think got right.
Yeah. If you screwed it up, I want to see you do it right, because that would be even better. I'm looking forward to. I think my Lake Dowsett trip is an overnight, or not an overnight trip. I think it's a day trip. So, but we still might have to slide into Rudders or the dinner plate and have something to eat afterwards.
You have to.
But that's that is what it is. Busy couple of weeks coming up here. We'll figure out what we're doing next week for you. It might be a Dylan and a Brandon show next week if I end up at Riverside, but we'll figure that out.
You can be part of the show, can't you?
We'll figure something out. You're going away in 2 weeks' time, so it's a me and Brandon show going into PEI. That's gonna be fun.
Yeah, the South Shore exhibition, the Big X is back in Bridgewater, and we'll see, because I may be free. The hotels are booking up like crazy in Bridgewater. I was kind of hoping to stay down for wrestling, but it doesn't start till 9:30 at night, and that's a late wrestling show. So I don't know. We'll see. Dylan, Nate,
Zach Gowan coming back for that one?
No, Robbie McAllister is, though.
Oh, there you go.
I'm convinced he lives in Nova Scotia because he's on almost every wrestling show lately, which is not a bad thing. But yeah, it's exciting. Tom was alluding on the COVID stuff, and yes, it's still very much here. I had it a month ago, but to have everything back up and running it's so nice. Just not having to worry about, are we going to have this going on? No, it's happening. 250 is happening. PEI is happening. York 100 is happening this weekend. Like Dowsett's happening this weekend. And no matter what you want to do, if you want to not do racing stuff's happening. But the racing stuff is what we're here for. And we've got a big weekend coming up at Scotia Speed World, Oysterbed races, Lake Dowsett races. And then we go to the big race, the 250.
And the one down below, where I can get right here, the Ambetter 301 happening this weekend at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. So if you're
can't forget about Shediac too.
Yeah, Shediac's racing. There's a bunch going on, but Ambetter 301 this weekend, New Hampshire Motor Speedway. If you can't get to it, be sure to watch it on the NBC networks. Going to be a great show down there. Support them. Get out. I wish I could be down there. I wish it was a shorter haul than 8 hours overnight on a Saturday to go down there and do that. But support all them. Racing's back. I know Kayla Burkhart's going. I know Mr. Campbell's going. Eldon.
Again, I don't know when they're leaving, but they'll be there.
And I know Chris Ewing is down there and enjoying all the sights and all the salads that he's enjoying. So don't make friends with salad, but we'll have to have that conversation at the IWK 250. Thank you to all the marketing partners that helped put on this show. You see them on the screen coming up here.
Well, Dewey's messing with the electrical panel. I better go get him out of there.
Come back, Paul. Come back for this. Okay, no, we're good. Okay, we're fixed.
Almost had fried kitty there. Sorry.
You might have fried kitty again, because I thought I saw the tail going there.
Kentucky Fried Cat.
Kentucky Fried Cat. Thank you to all.
Get away from there. Now the PETA's gonna come at me now because I threw a bottle at the door. Anyways, we need to wrap this up.
Chris McMullen says, I don't even care about my race. I just want to watch New York 100 with the field. It's going to be crazy good. And Chris has done phenomenal this year, by the way, in his Lightning car. So congratulations to him so far. Him and Kyle Sinton been going back and forth in that Rookie of the Year battle. Adam White wants to know, are you coming to Lake Dowsett on Sunday?
Me?
Yeah.
I have to do a morning show on Monday, and my fiance is back from the States for the first time in 2 weeks. I probably should spend some time with her before I blast off for the 250 for 3 days.
In order for you to go to the 250. Maybe. That's a solid maybe. Thank you to all those marketing partners. We still have room for more. By the way, I want to thank Wine Kit Charlottetown for coming on board for the look-in on Saturday. We have available for look-ins. Our instant replay is going to have a new marketing partner, I believe, as of after this weekend. So if you want to get involved and get on our TV side and get on this show as well, I know Andrew Lively sponsored the last couple of shows with Lively Motorsports. Thank you to them, Presidential Ventilation, Quick, Top One Designs, and all their marketing partners. Get a hold of us and get on the show. We hope to have an announcement coming up in the next week or so with something else that we're doing in September. So keep on that as well. Thank you to all those that are on the screen. We can't do it without them. And can't do it without our crew. Big thank you to Brandon Campbell, Dylan Langell, and Paul Strickland Jr. for being a part of this. We'll see you Friday and Saturday at Scotia Speed World. Until then, keep the hammer down. We'll see you at the track.
Right.